All right. Hi, Mar. Welcome back.
Hi, thank you.
Um, I want to start by saying thank you again for meeting with me and setting aside time so that we can do this. I wanted to also make sure that are you feeling comfortable with this and meeting me and your space?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So, um, I want to start with going through a little bit of a questionnaire. I'm going to ask you in a few minutes more about the questionnaire that you filled out on your own, about stressful events in your life. But before I do that, I want to ask you just a few more questions about what your life was like growing up. I know we got into it a little bit last time, but these are just a little bit more specific questions.
Okay,
All right. And then don't mind me, I'm just going to be jotting down notes, okay?
sounds good.
All right. So, can you tell me who did you live with and who took care of you growing up?
Primarily my mom, but she was, sort of in and out because of like her own mental health problems. So I would say like my sisters sort of like took on that role. Um, we all
Okay.
like helped each other.
Okay. Right.
And my
Together.
dad wasn't really around. He was pretty absent.
Okay. All right. Um, so you are saying that you're about your sisters and you took on the parenting role kind of together.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so what stands out for you about growing up? Was there anything particularly good or bad that you would be able to recognize?
I think, yeah, definitely the struggles of my mom were a huge, like, contributing factor for me. Pretty much up until the age of 12, I witnessed her attempting suicide numerous times. Um,
Okay.
and then she just struggled with, being that caring mother figure in my life. So I didn't really have that like emotional um, connection with her.
Okay. All right. So, your struggles with your mom growing up and building a relationship, you would say, stands out as something, would you say that's particularly bad about your youth?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I'm going to ask you about like your relationships again. I know you said that your father was absent, but I am going to ask if you don't want to report anything, that is more than okay. And if you ever feel uncomfortable with these questions that I am going forward asking, you can definitely choose to not answer. Okay. So I know you've already touched a little bit about your mom, about like your relationship with your mother, but could you tell me a little bit more about what it was like just specifically with your mother when there was a relationship?
Um, yeah, I mean, she was pretty aggressive due to like, I think she was diagnosed with bipolar. So she would just like have outbursts and not really explain why. So I feel like there was a lot of like undue punishment, like, um, and honestly, I would probably say it was abuse, really. And I know, you know, I try not to like blame her for it because I know, she does have significant mental health, but at the same time, like it's hard not to because it, it was so frequent. And then, you know, I just really don't think we had a loving mom daughter type relationship.
All right. Is there anything else that you want to identify before we go on to the next person?
I don't think so.
All right. So I'm going to ask about your relationship with your father, or at least your a male role model, if there were any at the time. Would you be able to elaborate on that?
Um, Not a whole lot. I don't have a whole lot of information about my dad, and like I said, he just really wasn't around. Um, and I don't. uh, Not a lot of people have given me much history either on him, so I really just don't. I don't know.
And that is totally acceptable of an answer. So we will move on from that. You mentioned siblings. So could you tell me if you want to just choose one that you might feel you had the best relationship, or if you want to tell me about all of your siblings, then that is more than acceptable. So whatever you're comfortable with, could you just tell me what your relationship was like?
Yes, I have two sisters. I'm the middle one. My older sister, I think, struggles with her own mental health issues as well. So I think I'm pretty estranged from her at this point. My younger sister and I have a really strong like bond. I think because like I had mentioned before, like I became somewhat of a mother figure to her, helped her through some things. And she struggles less with mental health than my older sister does. And I just haven't found a way to connect with my older sister. So it's pretty estranged.
All right. Thank you. Well, thank you for sharing that. Are there any other caretakers that were present in your life that you would like to identify at this time?
Think so. I mean, I have a few like
Okay.
friendships,
All right.
but I don't think anybody that like stands out at the moment.
All right. That's totally fine. So with your father not really being around, the next question it asks, um, how did your parents or adults that you grew up with get along? So if your mother had anybody else around, you could identify that, or we could completely skip this question.
Can you say the first part again? Sorry.
Yeah, so this question it's asking, how did your parents or adults you grew up with get along? So like it's asking for, was there a lot of yelling or fighting or violence growing up that you experienced?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit challenging. I don't think I
Yeah,
witnessed a lot of like adult interaction. Um,
that's an acceptable answer.
yes, I'm not sure.
That's okay. So with your mother, you kind of explained it as like undue punishment and a little aggressive. So how was discipline handled with your mother?
A lot of yelling. And I think, at times there was a little bit of like physically aggressive behavior, um, hitting, um,
All
spanking,
right.
those things.
All right. So do you feel that you were ever treated in a cold, unemotional way?
Yeah, I would have to say yes. Yeah.
All right. It's a very weird question. So, would you identify that as being from your mother?
Yeah.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about what that was like? How old you were when you really started to like feel this way from your mother?
I would say early in life, probably again like up until the age of like 12-ish. Um, between like 5 and 12 was when I witnessed a lot of her suicide attempts.
Okay. And you feel like around that time is when like she became a little cold and unemotional towards you.
Yeah, and just wasn't around a lot because she had to attend to treatment and things like that.
Okay. All right. Just a few more questions. Did you ever feel rejected by someone you grew up with?
I think again, like my mom, my
Yes.
dad, um,
All
and
right.
maybe even like a little bit of my older sister. I don't know if it's really rejected. She just like we haven't found like a common ground. So
Okay. Were you ever criticized unfairly or told that you were no good or worthless?
not in those exact words, but I think um, I struggled in school because English wasn't my first language. I would often be like criticized or ridiculed about that.
All right. So I'd say school age is when
Yeah,
you felt this. Okay. Um, were you ever made to feel ashamed or humiliated?
I think so. Yeah, I think like for the same reasons.
All right. I'll put about the same reasons as the question before. And were you ever neglected or left to fend for yourself?
Yeah, I think I felt that a lot growing up for sure.
Would you say about the same age range, 5 to 12, or even longer than that growing up?
Um, yeah, I'd almost say like 5 to like adulthood, really. Um,
All right.
just because of lasting effects from my mom, like not managing her symptoms.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking your time for that. So I'm go I'm going to refer back to the questionnaire that you filled out about stressful events. And what I'm going to do now is go over the different events that you said that you experienced. And I'm just going to ask you to tell me very briefly about what happened and elaborate. And if it's something that happened more than once, then I want you to try to elaborate on the worst time that it happened, okay?
Okay.
So, based on your answers before, it looks like you identified item number 12, which is life-threatening illness or injury. And you put that you witnessed this. Could you tell me a little bit what happened? I'm looking for like how old you were, how you were involved, who else was involved, all that. If that helps you give me a brief explanation on it.
Okay. Yeah, I think just the multiple attempts for my mom. I would say probably like the age of 8 or 10 was probably the worst attempt that my mom had. She would often try, taking too many pills or
All right.
uh, splitting her wrist. So it was just, hard to witness those types of things and figuring out what we were going to do while she was gone and
Okay.
not helping us, so it was just hard.
Would you say, was she ever seriously injured in during those times that she was using like self-harm or trying to attempt?
I think so, yeah. I mean, she's had to have stitches for it being so deep.
All
Um,
right.
yeah.
All right. Um, and it's hard to put a number of times that you witnessed this, but would you be able to give me an estimate of how many times you experienced um, your mother's attempts?
Um, I would say probably around 6 or 7.
All right. All right. Now, the next question is you identified item 13, severe human suffering that you experienced it and witnessed it. So can you just give me a little bit more about the same information about as the last one? So about age, how many times, was there a threat to your mother, or somebody else's life and your life?
Um, yeah, I mean, same thing. I think she just wasn't able to like manage or cope with her symptoms very well. Uh, so it would just become unmanageable or out of control to the point that I was trying to keep, my baby sister safe and at the same time um, seek help to help my mom.
All right. Would you be able to give me about an age range, maybe?
That those things happened.
Yeah, that you really
Um,
experienced the suffering.
I would say again, probably between the ages of like 5 to 13ish.
All right. And was there, do you think that there was a life threat to your mother or you?
I think towards herself, yes. Um,
All right.
yeah.
And was there ever any serious injury involved with this suffering, would you say?
Again, like to herself, yeah.
All right. And approximately how long did this last? Would you say about the 5 to 13 years?
Yeah.
Okay, that's acceptable answers. You also identified number item 17, which is another very stressful event or experience. And you put down that you experienced this event. Now, could you tell me a little bit more about what you were identifying here?
Yeah, I think the bullying in school because I wasn't the best with my English. And I think, Spanish culture was like huge for me, but wasn't really well respected by my peers.
All right.
And then, later in life, I think it also led to like panic attacks. So I struggled. Like, I have my bachelor's, but getting it was a huge struggle because I wasn't feeling confident. Um,
All right. And so you would identify yourself as being school aged, as really starting to experience this, the effects
Yeah.
of like culture on yourself. And would you say that there was ever any life threat made during this time to yourself or others?
I don't think so. No, not directly. No, just more like bullying and words.
All right. Um, so you never felt like your life was in danger during like these experiences of bullying and
No,
okay. And was there any was there ever any serious injury that occurred from the bullying?
no,
Okay. And how
just
many
emotionally, I should say. Um,
okay,
you know,
that's
I,
acceptable.
yeah.
And approximately how many times did like the bullying happen? Would you just say all throughout your school experience?
Yeah, like sporadic, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Is there any other um last things that you want to add or change or like discuss with me before we wrap up today?
I don't think so. No.
Well, since this completes the questionnaire and all the questions that I'm going to ask you for today, I will take all the information that I've gathered. And do you think next week's a good time to reconnect for us to talk about like my thoughts on the information from last time and this time?
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Then we will set up a next meeting and I will see you again next week to discuss my thoughts on everything.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.